I need to draw a couple analogies for you of things that, so you understand where I'm going with this. It's a controversial issue. And I'm sure that if I would have announced today that I was going to be here, the room would have been full out to the parking lot with the people on both sides of the issue, once again trying to give me direction on how to do my job. I had I guess the only analogy I have for you is that oftentimes if you've ever worked on a car, people that design that car aren't the same people that work on it. You get the car and all of a sudden it doesn't work out that way because they built it back in Detroit somewhere, and you go to change the oil filter and you can't get to that oil filter because somebody else designed it and dictated how you were going to do something that you can now you can't do, or it's going to be real easy, and it's not. Keep following me for a minute on this. I have inside my notebook that I've carried with me for 12 years now a whole statement by a person that was a student of mine. And I tell you this because the sheriff has to reach a wide range of people, not just in their political parties, a whole wide range of people, down to little people all the way to the oldest people in our community. And this kid wrote to me, this has been over 30 years ago, a child that I had in my classroom. She said, in Shelton, you know him as the sheriff. Sorry, I don't have glasses on. I know him as Mr. Salisbury. I know him as my favorite teacher many years ago, and as my protector, and as my friend. Down further, I won't read the whole thing, but down further it says, I still think about you, and I tell my kids about you, and I love seeing you because you still protect others. You can draw from that at that point in time where that kid was at. I was working as a deputy sheriff here at the time, and also as an elementary school teacher. And I had to make a decision at that time that a lot of people didn't appreciate, and I took a lot of heat over. But that person was kept safe, and 30 years later remembered that. Today I'm here to talk to you about Initiative 1639 and the steps that are going to be taken to move forward on that. And for those of you who don't know, it's that 1639 is the one involving the gun bill and everything that's been over in the legislature. I relate to you that we used to teach the kids in classrooms that there's 4 reasons for rules and laws. Please pay attention to these, because the 4th one is the most important of the 3, which becomes the first. The first reason for rules and laws is to protect people. The second reason for rules and laws is to protect property. The third reason for rules and laws is to maintain order. And the fourth reason for rules and laws becomes the first. Is in that process of those 3 is respecting everyone's rights. So I have conversed with our prosecutor and others. I've received numerous articles on how the sheriff will deal with this. I have had people come into the office and tell me that I'm going to make a proclamation, tell me that I'm going to make a declaration, tell me that I will direct people to, and tell me that I will make a sanctuary city and all these other things that. And at the same time, I have people from the other side coming in and directing me on other things on how we're going to do our job in the sheriff's office. Each sheriff in the state, I looked it up, I actually brought it with me, takes an oath to abide by the Constitution of the United States. And I was one of the first sheriffs, I think the first sheriff in the state of Washington, when an issue came out about somebody saying that we're not going to enforce Initiative 639, my comment was, I see constitutional issues with it. They'd say what they were. I think there's some constitutional issues that we have to be mindful of. Since then, a number of sheriffs, and last night on King 5, my kids called me, Dad, did you see what Rick said last night, Sheriff Rick Scott? I said, yeah, I saw what Rick said. I've sat down with all the sheriffs in the state, and each one of them that have already commented have called me on this. I guess it's one of the nice things about, there's only one guy in the state that's been sheriff longer than I have, and there's about 5 of us that have been the same time, and I'm considered one of the senior sheriffs in the state of Washington. We have to make some decisions on this Initiative 639, how it's going to be carried out. Not everybody's going to be happy, but I do have to follow the rights to protect everybody's rights, not just some people's rights. And when political parties contact me and tell me that I will do it their way, and the next political party comes to me, no you won't, you'll do it our way, I reserve the right as the elected sheriff to make my own decisions, and I will do that. The last piece before I read the final part on this, closure to this, is that we have a good prosecutor's office. People are coming to sheriffs asking us to make decisions on things that somebody else designed an initiative, sent it through, and all, I would say the super majority of sheriffs in the state of Washington said, this is bad deal here. And it went on through. And now the burden has come back to you and saying, well, the sheriff's, how are you going to fix this? It really becomes, in the end, it doesn't really matter as much as what the sheriff does, is that if we derive charges and bring these things forward, is we end up sending those to our prosecutor's office. Really, in the end, that's who makes the final decisions on what we do. And if we don't do our job and send it to the prosecutor a bunch of baloney all the time, after a while they're not going to take us seriously. And so we have to make sure that we respect the prosecutor's office and their decisions. So I'm going to read you something I sent out to my staff yesterday. It will very much mirror what the other sheriffs in the state have done. Some people don't like it. I believe that 38 of us have agreed, and it'll sound very familiar to you, to the other sheriffs. This is a memo to the sheriff's office staff from me involving Initiative 1639 and my conversations with the other sheriffs in the state of Washington and other law enforcement, our prosecutor, and also our commissioner yesterday. And I thank you for that time, Commissioner. As Sheriff of Mason County, I feel it is my duty and obligation to address the concerns brought to me by the citizens of our county regarding Initiative 1639. I have discussed these concerns with sheriffs from across the state of Washington, as well as members of the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. As law enforcement leaders, we are sworn to uphold the Constitution, both federal and state, and to uphold the rule of law. The concerns about initiative are related to the Constitution, and the courts will have the opportunity to rule on those concerns as they are raised. The rule of law is about respecting voters, the courts, and the law itself. We will uphold the rule of law and respect the role of the courts in interpreting the law. Therefore, until the legality of I-1639 is resolved, I instruct my deputies to take no enforcement action as it pertains to 1639. If you come across such matters in your duties as a Mason County Sheriff's deputy, you will document the circumstances, and when appropriate, you will refer the matter to the Mason County Prosecutor's Office for review. This isn't a matter of, I said earlier when somebody spoke up and said, I won't do something. There's a difference between a won't and a can't. The challenges are, you're asking people to do things that are against the Constitution in this. There are some constitutional issues. It's not that I don't want to do this, I'm not going to do this. If there's some constitutional issues that really, we can't do that because it's not lawful. So at this point, I'm sure that, like Rick, it'll end up on King 5, that another sheriff is revolting out or something, but all we're saying is that we have to follow the Constitution of the United States. And until that is resolved, at this point, our people will take the information, we'll consult with our prosecutor's office, and we'll take each case by case to move forward. But I'm not going to be directed and guided by any political party on either side telling me what to do, or other people telling us what to do. We are going to look at each one of these objectively and case by case, and we'll have our prosecutor's office do the reviews with us so that we are staying within the bounds of the law. Thank you.
Thank you.